Yep, that's how it works. Not gonna wave my white flag. No, heck no. Well, got to move my microphone over here just a little bit here. Thank you very much. Anyways, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning. Also afternoon, if that's the way it is for you. You know what's really cool? You get to choose. That is incredible. I mean, really absorb that for just a moment, my friends. You get to choose what things mean. It's one of my favorite things to share whenever I speak with people. I mean, really soak that in, my friends. Everything is fundamentally meaningless. It's fundamentally meaningless. Look around you. Everything just is. And then you've been given this gift to give to the fundamentally meaningless things meanings. Now, think about that. You get to give meanings to what happens. You get to give meanings to the situations, circumstances of your life, which is why I love this book, which is why I love Ramey, because he's an example of that. It's incredible, which is what we're studying here. We're studying the importance of having a powerful mindset. You remember what mindset is? Mindset is what's set in your mind. That's what your mindset is. And what's set in your mind are your beliefs, your habits, and it's your beliefs and habits that determine the outcomes of your life. Now, in terms of what we're going through here, we're studying Ramey's book, Can You Think and Grow Rich, which he got his information from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, Think and Grow Rich, a beautiful, wonderful book written by Napoleon Hill, which Napoleon Hill studied successful people because he wanted to see and understand why they were successful. You know what he discovered? He discovered that successful people lived according to certain thought patterns. They had a certain philosophy of life. And what he did was he placed together those principles and put it in the form of this book, Think and Grow Rich. How those principles were all based from what was happening in the mind. So if you want to be rich, you've got to think you're rich before you become rich. Well, now we have Ramey here, who studied and implemented this from a very young age. Now, notice how he said studied and implemented. He didn't just read it blindly. He didn't read it just to get the knowledge. He read it and used it, and then decided to write a book about his success. Now, what's interesting is he decided to write this book, but not until after he showed that it worked. Now, think about that. He did it to prove that it works. And then he wrote it. Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? Which then shows within this book how he thinks. And that right there is the key, my friends. There's a tendency for us to, when we see someone who is living the type of life that we would love to live, there's a tendency for us to try and emulate what they do. And we go to try and do the things they do. And then what happens? The overwhelming majority of the time, it fails. Why? Because the correct mindset is not behind the doing. Now, really soak in what I just said there. That's so important, my friends. See, it's not what they do that you should emulate. It's how they think that you need to emulate, because it's that thinking in terms of what's happening in the mind that led them to do the things that they do, which then led them to the results that they have right now. So as you're going through this, the important thing for you as we're going through this is to not just sit there passively to, just think in terms of, okay, great, this is really good information. No, the question that's going to help you the most is, how can I use this? And in terms of how can you use it, how can I use this now? Right now at this moment. Now is all you've got. You don't have tomorrow. You don't have yesterday. In terms of yesterday, yesterday's gone. Tomorrow, it's yet to be seen. Having said this, how you think now determines the direction that you're going to go, which then determines the results of your life. There's a beautiful thing that I've heard that I share quite frequently, which comes from Tony Robbins. It's in your moments of decision that your destiny is created. And you'll find that here within this book, it's very clear how decisive Ramey is. Okay, so let's dig into this. Okay, the chapter that we're going into is chapter 2 on the Streets of Life, which is right here. And by the way, if you don't have this book, go buy it immediately. It's a great book. You can get it at Ramey's site, canyourreallythinkandgrowrich.com. When you've registered for these calls, you'll also see links for you to be able to go ahead and buy this book. I recommend that you get a hardcover. Don't just do the Audible, get the hardcover and then mark up the book. All right, so let's dig into this, okay? Now remember, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. And the only way that this becomes power in your life is when you apply it. You've got to make it dynamic, okay? It's got to be something that you use. Okay, so let's go into what he says here. This is amazing. He says, my philosophy is to look forward rather than regret the past. Now, let's just dig into that one sentence alone. My philosophy is to look forward rather than regret the past. Now, I'm going to share with you something. I sent Ramey a message earlier this week, okay? And as I was going through the changes that were happening inside of me, I was already using this information and stuff, and I use it frequently and a lot. And having said this, I wanted to get additional insight with regards to how Ramey thinks, when there's a shift, when you recognize that your vibration is off. Vibration, in other words, when you're not feeling really good. Now check this out. This is amazing. So I sent this message over to Ramey, and I asked him this question. I said, what is the main thing you do when you recognize that your vibe is off? Now, this was his answer. It was so beautiful. It was so simple. And I highly recommend that all of you adopt this because it ties heavily into this first sentence. He says, forget the past and yesterday. Reassess your assets as of today and figure out what you can accomplish with what you have right now. And what's interesting is the answer came back like that. It was so fast. It was so quick. Now, I was already doing that, but I wasn't doing it in the quickness that he sent it over to me. And I was looking at it going, of course. And why I'm sharing that with you is because, sometimes there are times that we need to be reminded ourselves. Now, again, I want you to really think about this and tie this into this first sentence here. My philosophy, my way of thinking in my life, the way I live my life is to look forward rather than regret the past. And again, I'm going to read to you his response to me, which was, again, my question was, what is the main thing that you do when you recognize that your vibe is off, when you're feeling not good, right? And again, here's what he said. I'm going to read it again because it's so important. Forget the past and yesterday. Reassess your assets as of today and figure out what you can accomplish with what you have right now. A quick way of words is get to work. I really think about that. Get to work. What do now this is what's really beautiful about this. Now pay close attention to this because it was an instant response. I want you to notice because this has everything to do with this first sentence. I want you to notice that there was not a message that came back to me that said, what's going on? Did you notice that? It was just a straightforward, boom, forget about the past, forget about yesterday. And instead, look at all your assets right now and then focus on what you can do right now with whatever you've got. Just move forward, get to work. Always move forward. What's really cool? You can just study this one sentence right here for the next 60 to 90 days and just use it in your life, and you will see massive changes in your life. Massive, not little ones, massive ones. But see, the point is you've got to use it. And you've got to use it enough times until it becomes automatic in you. Now, again, I want to emphasize how that's how he thinks. That's his mindset. That's what's set in his mind. Now let's go further. We've all heard hard luck stories that are convenient alibis. But though I started my journey literally homeless on the streets of Tampa, Florida, I consider that time my first testing ground for the ideas in Think and Grow Rich. Now, remember, the first chapter went over how he had all kinds of reasons to not move forward in life. He had all kinds of excuses. It's genius how he put that in the first chapter of his book, because he wanted you to see that he had a ton of alibis and excuses that he could have used, but he didn't use them, and he doesn't use them today. One of the fun things that I remember having in terms of our conversations is, again, when he sees people and he hears people who are going through tough times, he looks at it and goes, yeah, oh, well, whatever. Now grow. Now think about that. That's wonderful. See, that shows that he has no interest in being involved with someone's bad situation. He wants to see them grow. He wants to see them live the life that they would love to live. But see, you're not going to be able to do that if you give attention to what you don't want. And isn't that interesting how that's what most of us do? You know that when you do that, let's say someone's talking to you and they're talking about what's wrong. And then once you get in that conversation, all you're doing is you're reinforcing the very thought patterns that they want to get away from. You're not helping them. You're not serving them. You've got to move that away from your mind. Okay. Now, again, let's go through this first opening in this wonderful chapter. My philosophy, my way of thinking, the way I live my life is to look forward rather than regret the past. Now, if that's not you, start working on that right now. We've all heard hard luck stories that are convenient alibis, but though I started my journey literally homeless on the streets of Tampa, Florida, I consider that time my first testing ground for the ideas in Think and Grow Rich. And now he points out first choices. First, I was born in Geneva, Switzerland, to Egyptian parents. We moved from Geneva to Paris, then to the United States for 2 years, then on to Montreal, Quebec. I wasn't academically motivated, he says, often failing my classes. The last years of my formal education were more like those in a U.S. high school. But I did learn the hard knocks of life. I was the kid picked out for bullying, an experience that I used later not only to toughen myself, but also to decide that one day I had power. If I had power over others, I would not use that position to bully and intimidate. Instead, I would treat everyone the same, regardless of their wealth or status. Now, let's just look at this paragraph here. He's sharing with you how he thinks. He's sharing with you what he consented to and also what he rejected. Now, think about what your greatest power is here in this world. Your greatest power is your ability to choose your thoughts. No one can force you to choose the thoughts you think. And in terms of that choice, you get to accept or reject. And here he's sharing with you that he rejected the thought of bullying, recognizing that those who bullied were those who were in what they thought were areas of power. But he made a decision that if I get into that position, I'm not going to use that to intimidate others. Instead, I'm going to use that to help them. Instead, I would treat everyone the same, regardless of their wealth or status. Now, let's go into the action here in this last sentence. Instead, I would treat everyone the same. Now, in order for you to take action, there has to be a thought process behind it. There's always a motivation of feeling which comes from the thought. And what he's sharing with you here in terms of the treatment of others, which is the action that's going there, see, he adopted a thought that that's how he would be, that's who he would be. Now, again, he's sharing with you how he thinks. He's sharing with you the thought patterns in his mind. It's so important. This is a very important paragraph here. Now let's go further. Those years also instilled a powerful motivation to achieve as much as possible in my life. Okay, there was a drive inside of him, of which was happening because of how he was thinking. I didn't begin with much at all, unlike most people who are given instant advantages that can sap up their ability to handle life's challenges. Now notice, again, he's bringing into this wonderful book, in this particular part of, in this chapter, his experiences in life that he pulled from, for instance, the first chapter, and of which is a lot of it that's happening as well in the future chapters. He's sharing with you, again, that he had lots of reasons to not to be able to do that, that he could have easily adapted and consented to, but he didn't do it. His frame of mind was instead to use it in a way to propel him forward. And he actually shared this last week when we were in the call. He says, you may be going through some kind of pain or situation that you don't like. You can use that to propel you to move forward. And isn't that interesting how that's what he used here with regards to the bullying? He used it as fuel to propel him forward. Now, again, he didn't begin with much at all, but unlike most people who are given advantages that can sap their ability to handle life's challenges, he didn't allow that to be him. Now, why am I bringing this up? Why am I spending a lot of time with regards to this? Because you get to choose how you're going to think as well. You get to choose whether or not you're going to remain stuck based from what you're experiencing through your senses, what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, or whether or not you're going to start thinking from within outwards. In other words, to use those beautiful higher mental faculties that you have, of which he shows clearly throughout this book that he uses, which are his imagination, his perception, his reason, his will, his memory, and his intuition. Here, he decided to imagine great things for himself instead of hold on the screen of his mind those images of what he didn't want. Or he shifted it to hold that image in a way that propelled him forward. Now, notice again, I'm revealing to you the thought process inside of him. Now he goes further. My father at one point left the family for 6 months. He already divorced my mother, who then went back to Egypt. But his return did not change my mind about my path. I made the choice to leave on my own power since I knew that just sitting at home would not jumpstart my future. Now let's soak that in for just a moment, my friends. That one line. I knew that just sitting at home wouldn't jumpstart my future. Now, why am I bringing this up? That one little sentence right there can be something that dramatically changes your life if you're just sitting at home waiting for something to happen. There's no way that your life is going to be jumpstart into a magnificent future if you're just sitting there waiting. And notice how he brought this up in this book, sharing with you what was going on in his mind that changed the trajectory of his life. Now, again, soak in what I'm saying here. I'm going to read this again. Remember, his father left 6 months. Father came back, but it still didn't change anything with regards to what was happening inside of him because he knew he had to move forward. And again, what did he say? I made the choice to leave on my own power since I knew that just sitting at home wouldn't jumpstart my future. He decided to bet on himself, to take a risk. Now, again, notice the thought pattern. Notice the process of what's happening in his mind. And then he goes further. In 1973, I set out for the United States, a country that offered real opportunities. though I had no idea where I would end up exactly. I think about that uncertainty. He didn't know what was going to happen. He just had this huge hunger and this drive for big change in his life. I'm certain that there were probably some doubts that were coming about inside of him, but still, there was something bigger inside of him that was calling out, that made that fear of uncertainty a lot smaller, which enabled him to do that. And you can do that as well. Now, again, I want you to really absorb what's happening here in this particular part. A lot of uncertainty. He's young. He doesn't know what's going to happen, but he knew that he had to get out from just sitting there at home in order to grow. He had to get uncomfortable. And by the way, that's a big deal, my friends, because a lot of us, we stay in our comfort zone, not understanding that our comfort zone is actually what keeps you stuck. And what is your comfort zone? Your comfort zone's rooted in what you understand, what you're aware of. It's normal for you. It's comfortable. And by the way, it could be comfortable positively or negatively. It may even feel good, even though it's bad. The thing is, though, if you remain in the comfort zone, if you consent to staying right where you are, then you're basically adopting that right now is all you're ever going to be. And that's a really bad place to be. It's called stuck, and that's how most people live. And here he's sharing with you at a young age, you know what? To heck with that. I'm going to go live. And he went further. Eventually, I found myself in Tampa, Florida, which at least had the advantage of warm winters. Unlike Montreal, I was confident after reading what? Think and Grow Rich, that I could manage somehow and to live on my own. Now, I want you to notice how he went straight into information that would help his life with the purpose of using the information. And it says so right here. I was confident after reading Think and Grow Rich that I could manage somehow to live life on my own. In other words, he saw it as a way to propel him forward and to get through any adversity. But again, the emphasis here is he was using it. He wasn't just like, oh, that's really nice. This is going to help me. No, I'm using this. I'm applying this. Because the life I want, that I would love for myself, is going to require me to think differently. So I've got to think differently. And you know what? Napoleon Hill discovered people who were really successful in life, and they lived their life according to a certain philosophy. They had powerful principles from which they embedded within them. And says, well, shoot, if they can do it, I can do it too. Which then gave him hope. And then he placed his faith in that unseen reality. Remember faith, the beautiful definition I shared. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality, and that's what he did. See, he went back to it. He revisited it. Now, when I finally arrived in the city, he says, I just started walking and observing, already forming the habit of talking to anyone I met, though I wasn't yet focused on my journey to success. Now, I want you to notice how he brought into this a habit that he formed of talking to anyone that he met. Now, there's a lot of us here in this call, you're probably shy. Oh, who am I to do that? Well, you got to remember, if you say, I am shy, it's not that you're shy. That's what your conditioning is. You've been conditioned to be shy. You've been conditioned to care what other people think about you. Remember, what other people think about you is none of your business. The only opinion of you that matters is your own. What you believe to be true of yourself. Now, really soak in what I'm saying there. Oh, I'm shy because of that. Well, to heck with that. Change the conditioning. He shared with you, you know what? I formed the habit of talking to anyone that I met. And you can do that for yourself as well. In the beginning, will it be a challenge? If you're shy, of course it will. But remember, you formed the habit of being shy, which means you can form the habit of not being shy. You can form the habit of speaking with people, and the way that you're going to get good at that is through what? It's through practice. Isn't that how habits form? Through practice. And here he's sharing with you that he formed the habit of talking to anyone that he met, and that's what he does. He doesn't even think about it. And on top of that, he does it with a smile. It's like he's this little kid. He's walking around. He's just like, it's so fun to experience that. And again, it's automatic. It's automatic in him, which is really, really cool. Now, let's go further with regards to this. Okay. Again, when I finally arrived in the city, I just started walking and observing, already forming the habit of talking to anyone I met, though I wasn't focused on my journey to success. In those days, Tampa was hardly a cosmopolitan city and was a particularly harsh place for the homeless. Now think about that. It was harsh. Drug dealers, pimps, and the obviously mental ill crisscrossed the streets and intersections. At first, I slept under one of the highway overpasses. Now imagine that. Okay, he's there in a city in Florida where it's not friendly for people who are going through situations like that. And then he shares with you, he slept underneath a highway overpass. Now he goes further. Fortunately, I looked older than my chronological age, even passing for an adult. I learned to wash up whenever I could in gas station bathrooms. For the next couple of years, I took brief jobs, including helping out in motels and selling products door to door. When I learned of a used 1968 Cadillac that was for sale, I worked for 3 weeks as a short order cook until I had the $300 purchase price. Now, what are you seeing here? I really want you to think about this, my friends. Here, he's in a situation, unknown territory, it's harsh. He's not living the way that he would love to live, sleeping under an overpass at the very beginning. But what are you seeing here that he's formed? He formed this habit of working. Think about that. I took brief jobs, including helping out in motels and selling products door to door. When I learned of a 1968 Cadillac that was for sale, I worked for 3 weeks as a short order cook until I had the $300 purchase price. Now, in terms of the 1968 Cadillac, what did he do there? He saw the Cadillac. He learned of a used 1968 Cadillac that was for sale. What was it that he did that led to him owning the Cadillac? He made a decision that he was going to get it. Now think about that. He didn't just get introduced into it and say, whoa, that's nice. I would love to have the Cadillac. No. Here, even though he doesn't say it directly, he made the decision that it was his. And then what did he do? He went to work 3 weeks as a short order cook until he had the $300 purchase price. And you're going to find that that's a beautiful theme that's mixed within this entire book of how Ramey is decisive. Remember, it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is created. He made a decision to go out into the unknown because he knew that just by sitting at his home, he wasn't going to be able to propel his life to move forward, to grow. And it was interesting because he made that decision that he made was, I am going to be successful regardless, from that seed. And here are some fruits of that as it's starting to take place, of which stem from the study of the principles that came from this book. Now, again, notice the thought patterns in here, what's happening here in his mind. Now, the unair-conditioned car became my home, a relatively secure space in which I could think and plan. Now, we're going to pause here for a moment with that sentence. And I want you to observe how he's now putting in this book, at this particular section, that he used it as a place for him to think and plan. Now, why would he say a secure place in which I could think and plan? Why would he put this in the book? You know why? Because thinking and planning is important. Do you set aside time for you to think and to plan, or are you just constantly on the move? Well, here he states it point blank. Okay, I had an unconditioned car, became my home. It was a relatively secure space in which I could think and plan. Set aside a place for you to think and plan. The summers were brutal, especially since, in order to escape the clouds of mosquitoes at night, I kept the windows rolled up, which meant that the internal temperature could reach 120 degrees before I woke. Now, again, imagine that on your body. Imagine that discomfort. Imagine how that would crush most people. But here he's just pointing it out. Well, that's what the case was. Yes, it was uncomfortable. But it didn't stop him. Now he goes further. Over a couple years, I developed one clear, overreaching goal. Now listen to this. This is amazing. Build great wealth. Let's just bask in that for a moment. Over a couple years, there he is. He's homeless, living in, actually his home is the car now, right? He's out there, not earning hardly anything. But over a couple years of going through that, he developed one clear, overarching goal. You can actually point that out as he created a vision for himself. And what was the vision again? Build great wealth. Now let's just, again, soak in that sentence of 3 words. Build great wealth. Build great, enormous wealth. I knew that I could not accomplish this goal by working for someone else, so I decided that being my own boss was absolutely essential. See, he started to think this through. You want to build great wealth? You got to ask that important question. Will you be able to build great wealth doing what you're doing now? See, here he was thinking, he was using his reasoning, higher mental faculty. Remember, you have 6 of them: imagination, perception, reason, will, memory, intuition. Reason is your ability to think. He was strengthening that muscle. He was engaging in the vision he created himself, which was the use of his imagination. He focused singularly on that, which means he used his will. And as he fused those two, he started to think this through, and he realized that he could not accomplish that goal of building great wealth by working for someone else, which then led to the conclusion, which was correct because you're clearly seeing the results of that, that he had to be his own boss. And all of you can be that way yourself as well. It was absolutely essential. Now notice in that sentence, bam, it's decisive. It's essential. This is the way that it's got to be, because the way that I'm doing now, it's not going to work. He pivoted, and you'll see that pivoting is also a theme that goes through his book. As Think and Grow Rich points out, if we start out with just modest goals and then stay within a comfortable niche, we are likely to develop a truly powerful vision, let alone rise to the highest levels of life. Now, again, let's go over this, okay? He says, over a couple of years, there he is, situation. And by the way, I'm repeating this on purpose because this is how it gets into you, okay? He developed one clear, overarching goal, a vision for himself, build great wealth, and he knew that he could not accomplish this goal by working for someone else, and so he decided to be his own boss, which was essential. And then, as Think and Grow Rich points out, now we're going to dissect this, if we start out with just modest goals and then stay within a comfortable niche, we are likely to develop a truly powerful vision, let alone rise to highest levels in life. I had to build a business of my own if I ever wanted to achieve extraordinary success. No matter how long or difficult the task, I was going to find my first business that would jumpstart my future empire. Now, again, look at the power of this paragraph. He's sharing with you what was happening in his mind. He was sharing with you his decisiveness. He was sharing with you his commitment, his faith to that unseen reality of building great wealth, of his future empire. And that he was going to find the way to make it happen. Notice how he didn't say, well, I was just going to go and just test the waters and see how things were going to go. No. He decided. And that's what you've got to do. Now, again, I want all of you to think about the vision you have for yourself, whatever that is. The big, beautiful, one clear overarching goal that you have for yourself. Is this here in you in terms of how you're thinking? In terms of the life that you would love to live, in terms of whatever that is, maybe it is to build extraordinary wealth, to live an extraordinary life. My question for you is, embedded within you this, no matter how long and difficult the task may be, I'm going to find it and make it work. I'm going to make it happen. And in terms of making it happen, I'm going to find my first business that's going to jumpstart the whole thing. Is that how you think right now? And if it's not, allow it to be. Now think about that. Again, he's sharing with you how he's thinking. He's sharing with you his thought process. He's not, even though he's talking about the things that he's doing, remember, the things that you do are motivated by emotion. Every single action you take, even inactions, comes from feeling. Feeling, in terms of the vibration you're in, comes from how you're thinking. The primal cause is how you're thinking. Here, even though he talks about the things that he does, he's revealing more how he thinks, which will then lead you to whatever you want if you'll just consent to thinking in this certain way. If you want to be able to do things in a certain way, you'll have to become able to think in a certain way. And he is masterful at thinking in a certain way. So again, is this in you? Is you being decisive? Is you being persistent? Is you being, someone who has a tremendous amount of faith? In other words, you're loyal to that unseen reality. Is you surrounding yourself with greatness in your mind and also with people around you? Is that part of you? If it's not, then start today. Remember, it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what your current situation is. In terms of your results right now, whatever they are the result of your past thinking. Therefore, if you want to change your results, you have to get rid of your past thinking and start thinking differently. And if you want to know what you believe to be true and the habits you have, all you have to do is just look at results. If things aren't changing, it's because you haven't changed your mindset. And here he's sharing with you his mindset. Now let's go further. Continuing inspiration. I love this. As I said, I could dwell on the hardships of my first years in Tampa, but that's not the habit of someone seeking an extraordinary life. And it shouldn't be yours if you also want to step onto a similar path. Ding, 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 ding. I hope the light bulb went off. Now look at this. I'm going to read this again. As I have said, and he has said it, I've repeated it here as well. And guess what? We're going to continue to repeat this again and again and again and again. He shared with you all the hardships that he had, and he's pointing out to you in terms of how he thinks, I could dwell on the hardships of my first years in Tampa, but that's not the habit of someone seeking an extraordinary life, and it shouldn't be yours if you also want to step onto a similar path. He's revealing to you how he thinks. He's revealing to you his philosophy. And you can really break this down to something really simple. Will you be able to get what you want if you're focusing from what you don't want? No. See, he's pointing out here that, thought externalizes itself. You become what you think about most of the time. That's a great thing to write in your notes. I become what I think about most of the time. You know what the surest way of you to get more of the same problems you have is to continue to talk about the problems you have, continue to share with everybody the disappointments you have in your life about this and this and that. I got news for you. Whatever you give attention to, you get more of multiplied. And that's another thing to write in your notes as well. Whatever I give attention to, I get more of multiplied. And here he's saying, you know what? I formed the habit of, instead of thinking and dwelling upon my first years and how crappy they were, I use them in a way that serves me, that helps me to propel forward. I form the habit of looking for the good in everything. I know he doesn't say that directly, but that's exactly what he does. That's exactly how he thinks. Write this in your notes. People form habits. Habits form futures. People form habits. Habits form futures. And remember, habits, when you have them, you don't think about them. You know why? Because they're habits. Okay. And then there's a lot of you, for instance, a lot of you have seen me when I'm doing my lives on TikToks, and I'll see people that are saying, oh, that negative thought just keeps coming back. And then I'll ask the question, how many of you, when you are going through life, that negativity just keeps coming back to you? Go to sleep, it's there. You're walking, it's there. You're talking with your friends, it's there. It just won't go away. And the question is why won't it go away? And the answer is simple. You know why it won't go away? You know why it follows you? It's because it's a freaking habit. And that's all it is. It's just a habit, and habits are formed. Most of the habits that you have, that you got them from other people, they're not even yours. Think about that. They were placed, they were planted there. The fourfold order of the universe is seed, plant, blossom, fruit. Whatever's been planted there can be weeded out, and you can plant new powerful beliefs, new powerful habits. Nourish those, watch what happens. And here he's sharing with you a habit that he embedded within himself, that he didn't allow himself to dwell on the hardships. He's sharing with you that he controls his imagination. And by the way, that is the only way for you to truly forgive and forget, is with a controlled imagination. And here he's sharing it with you. Freely, beautifully. And then what else does he say? I looked for inspiration that always faced forward to the future, whether in a book or a person. Every one of you, I highly recommend that you all get yourself a library of amazing books from people who know how to think rightly. Here's one of them here. Oh, and by the way, make sure you get this one, okay? There are other ones. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. There's so many wonderful books out there that you can learn from. But see, this is what he does. See, look, I looked for inspiration that always faced forward to the future. If you allow yourself to embed within you fixed ideas that are rooted in always facing forward to the future, you're going to see big changes. Write this in your notes. I go the direction I face. Every single one of you does. Every one of us goes in the direction we face. And guess who gets to choose the direction that you face? It's you. You and only you. You're the one that's responsible for yourself. And by the way, think in terms of the story that's going on here. Notice how within this, also sprinkled as a theme in this entire book, is ownership of himself. And you know what? He claimed ownership of his life. He didn't allow someone else to run his life, even though there were plenty of circumstances and conditions where something like that could happen. And that's a wonderful, beautiful habit to create as well. Write this in your notes. I am the one that's responsible for me. I am. You are. You're the one that's responsible for what's happening in your mind. And here he's showing beautifully how his mind is. He's sharing with you beautifully what's set in his mind. He's sharing with you his beliefs, his habits. Now, again, I looked for inspiration that always faced forward to the future, whether in a book or a person. That's not to say that I ever forgot or neglected those who helped me when I had nothing. By the way, never, ever forget those who helped you. Never. Earl Ferris, for example, believed in me after my brief time with Glenn Turner's organization, mentioned in the next section. He was willing to mortgage his house for investment funds that took me to a Piccadilly restaurant every day so that I could eat. Imagine that. He ultimately was not financially successful, but I made sure later to take care of him until he died. This gives me watery eyes as I think about this. But see, he's sharing with you how he thinks. This is beautiful. This here, incredible. Is that in you? Now, a key. I love the keys. Remember what I shared about keys. And the example that I'll share with you is super, super simple. Remember, we break things down here, so it's very easy to understand. Think of a key that's on a counter. Maybe it's a key to your car. Maybe it's a key to the house. There it is sitting on the counter. You know, you're looking at it. Wow, it's all cool and ever. But the thing is, the key is absolutely useless sitting on the counter. The only way the key becomes useful is if you pick the darn thing up and then use it in the keyhole that turns the thing on or opens the door. Notice how it's got to be put into motion. Well, here he's sharing a key, and I love these keys. Discard doubt, but do not discard those who have helped you and believed in you. Don't just think of it as something, oh, wow, that's so nice. It's so beautiful. No. Use it. This is part of his mindset. This is something that's in him automatically. Boom, he recognizes it and go. He recognizes, he discards doubt, but he does not discard those who have helped him and believed in him. I got to tell you, this is amazing. It's incredible. I often mention people who have inspired me, no matter whether they provide positive or negative examples. If there is powerful influence involved, there is a strategy worth learning. All of you listen closely to that sentence, more specifically, the last part. I often mention to people who have inspired me, okay, no matter whether they provide positive or negative examples, if there is powerful influence involved, If you feel somebody and there's a powerful influence, positive or negative there, boom, it's a strategy worth learning. Very important. There is a strategy that's worth learning because influencing people is something that's essential in order to get people to move. I also find inspiration in powerful words, such as the following poem I first encountered in Think and Grow Rich. I love this poem and have had to reread many times in order to gain its full insight. Now, again, I want you to pay close attention. This is so fun and so awesome. Notice how he said this, and have had to reread many times in order to gain its full insight, in order to understand it. And here he's sharing with you what he had to do inside in order to gain an understanding of it. He didn't say this, okay, here's this really cool poem that I'm going to share with you that I read once and then that's it. No, he said, I reread it many times. And now, why am I bringing this up? Oh my gosh, because in terms of these calls here, by the way, in terms of what we're going through, you know where the true power is? The true power is not in these live calls. The true power is in going back to the book and revisiting these calls. It's in the recordings and these calls. That's where the true power is, my friends. It's in revisiting, re-listening to it, reevaluating it. Remember, that's how your beliefs are formed. Your beliefs were formed through evaluation. You evaluated you in early childhood based on the interactions you had in life. And then from those evaluations, you made a judgment about yourself. You formed a belief about yourself. Well, the way we change our beliefs is through reevaluation. So when you reevaluate you and how your mind works, which is what this book is going to help you to do if you'll just use it. It's also what this book will do as well. Guess what will automatically happen? Your belief will increase, which means your faith will be stronger, which means you'll be doing more, which means you will have more. But see, it's through the repetition. So you've got to be willing to pay the price for the change. You've got to sacrifice your old self. And here, right here, this is what he said. He didn't say this directly, but look, I had to reread, in terms of this poem, read it many times in order to gain his insight. So he had to sacrifice what was normal to him in terms of his thought patterns, let go of that, and then re-ingrain, and then I guess you'd say, embed within him this fixed idea to understand this. Remember, what you know doesn't matter. What matters is what you understand. And what you understand comes from the things that you do. Another way for me to say this is the only thing that matters is what you do. And what you do is based from what you understand. And here, what did he want to do? He wanted to build great wealth in his life. I mean, that's what he pointed out here, right? In terms of up here, build great wealth. And he was poor materially. And so I mean, think about how this ties together so beautifully. He was poor materially, living homeless on the streets, then into a car, an old car. But then he recognized enough that, you know what, if I don't want this, I have to change how I think. And then, so what did he do? He says, you know what, I'm going to get this. I want to understand this. It's not, he didn't say, when he says full insight, he's not referring to know, he's referring to understand. Now, again, I brought this up because it's so important for you to recognize and understand that if you're just coming, I'm just going to be very blunt with you on this. Please just listen carefully. If you're just coming to these calls on Saturday, and this is the only time you dig into this, and then you dig into this book just the one Saturday that we're here, I got news for you. The change you seek is not going to happen for a very, very long time, if it ever happens. You have to change what's rooted in you. You've got to change what's set in you. Now, listen carefully to what I said. because very few people are willing to pay the price. And here in the story, Ramey is sharing with you how he paid the price. He paid the price of changing the program in him, of changing his mindset. And all that from me sharing with you this thing. You read it many times again and again and again. So this poem is by Jesse Rittenhouse and expresses what Hill called the universal truth. Now, all of you, this is amazing. Take a screenshot of this. This rocks. I bargained for life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is just an employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked for, life would have willingly paid. You want to know what you're bargaining for right now? Just look at what's happening in your life. That's what's happening inside of you. Now, again, what I want to emphasize here is Ramey just didn't read this once. He didn't read it twice. He was just like, you know what? I don't want this poverty. I don't want this here. I want to live an extraordinary life. I want to build great wealth. Well, look at this. I'm going to read it again. This would be a really great thing for you to write out personally every day as well. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is just an employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. I love the word ask here. Ask for it. Ask believing, and you will receive. You want to know what you believe? You want to know what you're asking for? Just look at your results, because that's what you're emotionally involved with. And here he's sharing with you that you don't have to accept it. You can accept or reject. Reject that, accept the higher. Believe, and you'll get it. See, this is where you have to believe comes into play. Because if you don't believe, it's not going to happen. Now listen to what Ramey says here. I love this. Too many times we set our wages too low, keeping our vision too narrow, constrained. Starting today, recalibrate what you ask of life. Refuse, just as I did, any limits on what you can achieve. Now check this out. This is badass. Listen carefully to this. This is so good. He's giving you instructions on what thought pattern to embed within you, which is what he did himself. He's not saying, go do this. And I didn't do it. He's not doing do as I say, not as I do. He's saying do as I say and as I do. He's sharing with you his mindset. So again, too many times we set our wages too low. And by the way, why do we set our wages low? You know why we set them that low? Because we don't even know that that's what we believe about ourselves. We're running on that subconscious program of low wages for anything. And here's a perfect example. You want an extraordinary life with wealth, abundance, prosperity? What is the conversation that you're setting that's happening in your mind? Do you say this, that's too much, that costs too much, that I can't afford that? When you go shopping, is the first thing you look at the price tag? Why do you do that? See, that's, if you do that and it just happens, that means it's in you subconsciously. Here, the point is don't set them low. Don't allow first of all, don't allow the program to continue to set it. Instead, make a decision that you are going to operate on a higher level, that you're not going to fight this existing reality, that you're going to create a new model that makes the old model obsolete. Now, again, listen to what I just said there. He's saying don't try to change things by fighting the existing reality, because you can't change them by fighting the existing reality. He says here in the second part, start today, recalibrate what you ask of life, create a new you, refuse just as he did any limits on what you can achieve. And by the way, the only limits that stop you are the ones that you've accepted. Don't accept impossible as an opinion of yours. Think of it this way, impossible is an opinion. Don't make it yours, and that's what he's saying here. Limits, and now remember, your limits were formed in you. Where did they come from? They came from someone else. Most likely your parents, who were doing the best that they could with the awareness that they had. And by the way, everyone is doing the best that they can with the awareness that they've got. Everyone is. And most people are clueless about what mindset is. And here again, he's sharing with you, okay, if you don't like it, fine, don't think it. That's another thing for you to write in your notes too, by the way. If I don't want it, don't think it. If I don't want it, don't think it. Well, I'm going to read this again. I'm going to read this whole thing again. This is huge. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is just an employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed, oh my God, that any wage I had asked of life would have willingly paid. And again, what does Rami say to this? Too many times we set our wages too low, keeping our vision too narrow and constrained. Starting today, remember, these are his instructions to you. Starting today, right now. I'm going to actually adjust that. Starting right now, okay? Starting right now, Rami will understand, okay? Starting right now, recalibrate what you ask of life. Recalibrate it. Adjust the thermostat. Refuse just as I did. Say no. Okay, reject it, and I'm going to accept something else. As I did, any limits on what you can achieve. Get to work. Now let's go further. Key. Oh, another beautiful key. Remember, this key, useless unless you use it. When you find words that inspire you to a great future, keep them in the front of your mind at all times. I'm going to say that again. This is huge. When you find words that inspire you to a greater future, oh yeah, I see the possibilities. Keep them. Another word for keep them, hold them. Okay, keep them in the front of your mind at all times. Now, here he's talking about two things. Two of those higher mental faculties that you have. He's talking about your imagination, and he's talking about your will, and the combination of both of those together. Keep them means to hold them, hold the image. So in other words, when you find words that inspire you, that's a picture, my friends. We think in pictures, okay? That words shows something that gives you this feeling. Okay, hold that on the screen of your mind. Keep it in front of you at all times. Hold it there. Now, why is that important? This is why that's important. Whatever is held there in the conscious part of your mind automatically gets impressed into your subconscious mind. Remember, your subconscious mind is a loyal servant, but it's not loyal to you. It's loyal to what you have made important. So when you make that important, that those words that inspire you to a greater future, see, now what are you seeing? A greater future. You hold that on the screen of your mind and press it into your heart, and your subconscious mind, which is your heart, will help you to materialize that. Remember, it's your subconscious mind where most of the power is. And you get to choose what's there. Now, rejecting the fear of loss. No, I love this. When I started, I had no money or prospects, but I did believe in myself that I could achieve anything I set my mind to. I was open to whatever principles or thoughts would further my goal. Take a picture of this, all of you. This right here, this paragraph, huge in terms of how he's thinking. Now notice what he brings into this paragraph. He's sharing with you the facts. He's sharing with you the experience of the material world. No money, no prospects. There was no evidence of it. But then what does he do? This is so brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant, this paragraph. He's sharing with you what's happening on the outside, but then he goes to the inside. And he says, what? But I did believe in myself, that I could achieve anything I set my mind to. I was open to whatever principles, to whatever ways of thinking or thoughts that would further my goal. This is brilliant. This paragraph is brilliant because you can apply this to anything. And in terms of what's hugely important, it's all important in terms of this paragraph, I want you to notice the word believe. I did believe in myself. And that's what's going to happen in you. When you have belief in yourself, it leads to the faith that you have. All of us, and there's not a single one of us here that has any issue with living according to faith, because we all do. Okay. And I'm not here to talk about this in a churchy way. I'm just talking about it point blank. That's just how it works. All of you are exceptional living according to faith. The issue is you don't know how to adjust your belief so that it's harmony with what you want, so that you have the type of faith that's necessary to get the results you want. But again, the most important thing here in terms of what I'm talking about is the belief has got to be there. You've got to shift the belief inside of you. You must believe if you want it to happen. All of you write this in your notes. I had you write this in your notes before, but it's worth writing again. What I believe is the law from which I operate. And it's true. What you believe determines the direction you go. It determines whether or not you're going to do something. And you get to determine whatever belief you want. And always remember this too. What you believe is not the truth, but what you believe is your truth. But you'll proceed to act upon anything based on that belief. Why? Because you believe it's true. So again, let's go over this. This is huge. When I started, I had no money or prospects. And apply this to your life right now. It doesn't matter what's happening in your life right now. And he's sharing with you the mindset that will help you to get whatever you want. But I did believe in myself that I could achieve anything I set my mind to, that I could achieve anything that I locked into. and also that he was open to whatever thoughts were necessary, whatever principles were necessary, and whatever ideas were necessary that would further his goal. This is, again, extremely important. And again, he's sharing with you how he's thinking. Now, during my time on the streets of Tampa, I learned an essential lesson. For most people, the fear of loss is greater than the hope of gain. And this is true. For most people, the fear of loss is greater than the hope of gain. I saw this fear play out again and again, and the concept was crystallized for me when I was invited. I was just 15 years old to a seminar by Glenn Turner. 15 years young. He says old, but I'm going to say young. Seminar, Glenn Turner, who was a powerful motivation speaker. Now, imagine this. 15 years, homeless, he cares, like going through stuff, not right. And he goes to this seminar. He ultimately served 6 years in prison on charges of a pyramid scheme, but whatever his actual intentions, I could tell that he understood how to influence thousands of people at a time. At one point, amassing a fortune of over 200 million. Now, he points this out. His presentation included a chart that illustrated the basic truth that fear stops most people from achieving great success. Now, I'm going to talk about this. Fear, again, it stops most people from achieving success. Now, what I want to point out, though, is fear is an effect that turns into a cause. When you have fear and it's there, and if you don't understand what's causing the fear, it now becomes a cause which will then stop you cold in your tracks. It won't enable you to move forward. Now, what's causing the fear is nothing more than worry and doubt, but I'm not going to go too deep into that. But see, what I do want you to notice that is that the fear is real and it does stop people. Most people start on some path, on the same path, perhaps getting their first car by 18, first apartment by 21, and then getting married by 23. Then comes the house, second car, children, and the children's education. They work 9 to 5, go home, watch TV, eat dinner, go to bed, and repeat everything every day. How many of you sounds familiar? Does this sound familiar? Oh my God. All right. So they live for the weekends. How many of you guilty? All right. They live for the weekends and their once per year vacations. Oh my gosh. There was a restaurant that was created after that mindset. Thank God it's Fridays. TGIFs, from this mentality, of which all of us have been, I guess you'd say, convinced to adapt to, right? They live the same routines until they eventually retire with savings and then they die. By the way, retire. Have any of you looked up the word retire? Go look it up. You know what it means? It means to be put out of use. Get rid of that. But anyways, this is the story, right? It's the story. Turner had purposely painted a bleak picture, but I grasped that that here was a fundamental truth about the common fear of loss. Most people will not consider giving up their jobs, even in the service of a greater, because they fear losing their income and not being able to pay the mortgage or support their family. They remain stuck in a cycle, never challenging life itself, for the fear of losing the little they have. This is the life of the overwhelming majority of the population. And they live just average, mediocre lives. The seminar gave me more than insight into the fear of loss, he says. I stood up and gave my own speech, 15 years old, 15 years young, I should say. He went up and gave his speech, right? First time I'd given a public one, and so inspired the attendees that several flocked around me, trying to become part of whatever team or company I might form. That in turn got me thrown out of the seminar and back onto the street. But my takeaway was to continue to make my hope of gain greater than my fear of loss. Now here he shared with you how he thought through this, which then led him to this. The takeaway was to continue to make hope of gain greater than fear of loss. One of my strengths clearly was the ability to motivate and even inspire others, which I had now demonstrated concretely. Yes, I can do this, right? I did do it. This ability would prove to be more valuable than becoming part of anyone's organization, no matter the starting wage. My eventual gain would be achieving using the skills I was practicing on the streets of Tampa. Now, here's the key he pulls in. Key, make your hope of gain greater than your fear of loss. Make your hope of gain greater than your fear of loss. You know, this is so true. You can still use the fear to help you, but don't allow it to be the primary. Make your hope of gain greater than your fear of loss. And when you're working with other people, trying to help them, use the same. Make hope of gain greater than fear of loss. Key to my first million. Since the start of my journey at 12, I tried many businesses that mostly failed, but I kept on learning and striving. Now, notice what he says here. He tried many businesses that what? They mostly failed. Now, think about that. They mostly failed. Here he's sharing with you his persistence, which is in his mindset, which is part of his mindset. He created the habit of being persistent. Again and again, I would storm brain a money-making idea and immediately set to work. And if it fizzled, I would then start again. Now here he's also showing to you that he's also decisive. Think about that. Persistence, being decisive. He says, again, I would brainstorm a money-making idea and what? Immediately set to work. He didn't wait. He didn't say, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to start on it tomorrow. I'm going to start on it next week. No, he would immediately get to work on it. Now think about that. Two powerful habits he's revealing to you crystal clear. And he goes further. One day about Christmas time, I was 17 and happened to be standing in front of a Zayre, at the time, a chain of 400 discount department stores. I recognized the opportunity that would make my first million. Now, this is pretty awesome, my friends. Just outside the main entrance was a man selling glass swans. So imagine you walk in there, you see glass swans, okay? As was my default behavior and still is, I walked up and started a conversation about his business. Now, again, he's sharing with you a habit that he has, which, by the way, you're going to see how this habit has enabled him to run into wonderful ideas through the interaction with other people. So again, as was my default behavior, and as I just walked up and started conversation about his business, I learned that he had rented a front corner for the season, taking advantage of the foot traffic, which resulted in strong sales of his glass swans. It hit me that if I could find something, if I could find something that I could sell all through the year and not just seasonally, I could create a successful business. I notice he's sharing with you his thought process. Over the next couple of days, I talked to as many store employees as I could to find out customers asked for that Zayres did not carry. Now notice he went and engaged. Hey, what is there? He started asking around. This is wonderful for all of you, by the way. You should use this, okay? This is important. So he went around asking, and I learned that some customers wanted keys duplicated, a service that the store did not provide. And I immediately recognized the what? The need. That my new business could meet. One of the things that Ramey shares throughout this book also is find the need and fill it. And by the way, you know what determines how much you earn? Number one, the need for what you do. Number two, your ability to fill that need. And number three, how difficult it would be to replace you. That's what determines how much you earn. And here he's pointing out, I found something. I'm going to do that. And there's the key. Find the need and fill it. Now, remember, this is not going to do you any good. Oh, good. I know about finding the need and fill it. No, actually find the need and fill it. Okay. Go and do that in your life. Along the journey to build a successful business, I started to understand that one must always find legitimate needs and fill them. The only way I could pinpoint such needs was to talk with everyone I could, paying attention to what was missing, what was needed, and what was in demand. Now, I want you to notice again, his thought process is, you know what? I'm going to ask. I'm going to talk with people. And I'm going to have them tell me. I'm just going to ask everybody. I'm just going to ask them. Now, check this out. Here again, he brings in the material fact. Again, genius. I had no money. It was a fact. He had no freaking money. And he knew nothing about cutting keys, he says. Think about that. I have no money. I don't know anything about keys. And I had no real access to store management to be able to secure a prime location in front of the store. But I did not let any of that deter me from the goal of starting my first key center. Now, all of you, this paragraph right here, he's sharing with you what was happening in his mind. Now, think about this. He didn't give a crap at all about the evidence of the senses. He denied the evidence of the senses. He didn't allow what he was seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching to be the primary focus of what's on his mind. And that's how most people think. Maybe you're guilty of that. I've been guilty of that. He didn't allow himself to think from the outside in. Instead, he thought from the inside out. And what does he say? He did not let any of the evidence of the senses deter him from the goal of starting my first key center. Now, notice how he states in there that he set it as a goal. This I will do. He's sharing with you here that he fused with the idea. He accepted the idea. I'm making keys. Even though there were no key stores or key places in the store. Now check this out. I managed to scrape together $50. Now remember, no money. He had no money, but he scraped together $50 to purchase a key making machine. Now, isn't that interesting? He had no money, but because he made the decision to get a key machine, he found a way to get $50 to buy the key machine. You know that right there, you just making a committed decision for something is the only thing that stands between you and the materialization of whatever it is that you're seeking. And here he's sharing it with you point blank. He scraped it together to purchase the key making machine. I found an old desk in a junkyard and a cash register lying discarded on a restaurant floor. After being referred to someone who sold key blanks, I promised to buy blanks exclusively from him if he showed me everything there was to know about cutting keys, which he agreed to do. Oh, now I want you to notice there. Okay, there's a win for you. You know what? I'll buy all the keys for you. Just share me how to do this. You will be my sole provider of the key blanks. I won't get them from anybody else. Just show me what to do. And that's another theme that's throughout this book. What's going to enable whoever I'm working with to win if I do this? I sold him a vision. I would open many key centers in the future, and his business would expand as mine did. Now, remember, the only way you're going to be able to sell a vision is if you believe. So he just basically expressed his belief. And again, he's sharing with you what his mindset is. In my later business deals, I would prosper by drawing on the same ability to build a relatable, believable vision. He's given you the keys to change your life in a big way. Everyone whom you bring in needs to become some part of this vision, not just passive contributors. It's easy to say, I'll never forget you. But in my business life, I've made sure to build a reputation for remembering those who maintain their belief in me. Those who join my vision, he says, no matter what their actual jobs or positions in life, are never just means to an end. You know, that's a lot of people think that way. This is just a means to an end. This is just a way for me to get what I want. That's a shitty way to think. No, he sees everybody in a different way. He truly doesn't forgive, and he truly remembers them and helps them. That's in him. See, that's part of his habit. Now, here he gives another key to achieve an extraordinary life. Step with and not on or over people who believe in you. With, together, like this. Not over them. Don't walk on them. Don't walk over them. People who believe in you, walk with them. I approached the store manager, who at first refused to consider any offer. But after I persisted, he agreed to 20% of my gross sales. now look at this first sentence, my friends. Listen to this. See, he's again revealing to you that he's persistent. The store manager first said, no. I'm sorry, no, it's not going to happen. He probably looked at him. He didn't probably say it like that. He's fine. Oh, that sounds nice, kid. It probably went off. But no, in Ramey's mind, this is a good idea. I'm going to show you it's a good idea. I'm going to show it to you through me, through how I feel about it. And then what did he do? He agreed to 20% of the gross sales. In his first week alone, he made over $600. I quickly hired someone to staff my kiosk, and over the next year, I opened hundreds of key centers throughout the Zayre chain. Hundreds, my friends. Solely because of this mindset. Remember, he would not have done any of the things that he did if it weren't for what was set in his mind. If it weren't for what he believed and the habits he had. This is why I constantly say to you, whenever you find someone who is living the type of life that you would love to live, don't go out there to emulate what they do. It's not going to work. You have to emulate how they think. You've got to emulate their philosophy. You've got to emulate the patterns in their mind, of which will then lead you on exactly what you need to do. But then he goes to point out, I found the need and filled it. All of you write that in your notes again. Find the need and fill it. And then be so good at filling the need that it makes you difficult to be replaced. You know what? The money will just come to you. It'll come to you. That's why Amazon is worth as much as it is right now. There's a huge need for distribution of goods directly to the home. There is no one right now at this time who's better at filling that need than Amazon. By the way, that doesn't mean they're going to stay there. You know what? There's always a better way. But having said this, right now at this time, they are the best in the world at doing that. And because of that, that's why they earn what they earn. That's why Jeff Bezos is where he is right now. Find the need and fill it. I had a definite plan backed by a burning desire, which gave me the persistence I needed to build a net worth of over $1 million when I was just 17 years old. Now think about that. You found the need and filled it. And what did he say? Definite plan. When he says, I'm going to get to work, I'm going to fill that place up. I'm going to provide these keys, and I'm going to get it done. He had a burning desire. In other words, he allowed himself to be consumed with it. It was like an obsession within him. That's what a burning desire is, which then gave him the persistence. By the way, notice that. When you have a burning desire, that's what's going to give you the persistence, which then led him to build a net worth of over $1 million. And he was 17. And he had all kinds of reasons, all kinds of evidence that said, no, it wasn't going to happen. But he didn't accept it. Now listen to this. Those who will not take a chance seldom have one thrust upon them. Success always involves risk. You must take a chance by investing your time, money, and effort. It pays to be thoughtful and deliberate in your analysis of opportunities, but don't let timidity hold you back. Because you have worked hard to develop those things you must risk, it is natural for you to place a high value on them. But what good are they if you do not put them to use? This is so good. You will recognize opportunity only to the extent that you are willing to consider risking your time, money, and effort. Being confident gives you the courage to face risk and act when opportunity arises. No one on earth is going to force success upon you. You will find it only to the degree that you actively seek it out. That comes from Think and Grow Rich. And isn't it interesting how this beautiful jewel of wisdom here is in complete harmony with how Ramey thinks? Everything that he placed in this book is deliberately placed there. There's not a single sentence, not a single word, not a single paragraph in this book that does not have use for you when it comes to you changing how you think. In other words, everything has meaning. This right here has a tremendous amount of meaning, and you can clearly see, just based from what we've read, that this is what he did. And this is also how he thinks. Now think about that. You have to make the decision that you're going to start betting on you and stop basically playing it, I guess you'd say, safe according to what's comfortable for you, and allow yourself to go into that discomfort zone. Now, reflection. All of you take a picture of this. I didn't wait for the perfect opportunity, but instead put my maximum effort into anything I started. You know, this is something that Tony Robbins said, massive action, right? Now notice what he says, though. He doesn't wait for the perfect opportunity. There are a lot of you out there right now. You're watching this. You're waiting for the perfect opportunity, not understanding that you've got to just start. When you start, you're literally like halfway there. Most people don't even start. It's the start that stops most people because of the fear, of which is because they just continue to worry and doubt. But see, don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Instead, just make a decision. This I will do. This is who I am. And then get to work. Put maximum effort into what you start. Give it everything you've got. Trade your life for it. Remember, this comes from him. He didn't wait, and he doesn't wait for the perfect opportunity. You know why? Because he has this incredible belief in himself, and he's revealing it to you right here, crystal clear. Just start. You can't, I mean, really, see, like you're standing still. You can't go from 0 to 60 without reaching 1 first. You gotta move. You got to start. So start, and then put everything into it. Put maximum effort into what you start. More attention needed. And then he goes further. Unfortunately, I was still a newbie and needed to learn more about the nuts and bolts of running a day-to-day business. I didn't pay attention to all the details, including something as fundamental as having a long-term lease. Remember, he opened up all the kiosks. He didn't have a long-term lease. The management of Zayre saw how much money was being made from just 20%. So they gave me 30-day notice to vacate all the stores. Before I knew it, I was broke again. And because I reinvested all the money in growing my business, I was left penniless and homeless once more, back sleeping in the car. Now, I want you to notice he's pointing out that a failure happened. Failure happened. And now pay close attention to this. Giving up did not occur to me because I still had the burning desire to acquire great wealth. Building the key centers was just one way. There were others. I just had to come up with a new idea. Now, I want you all to apply this in your life right now. I'm certain that you've had failures. Maybe you've put all your life into something, it didn't work out. BFD. You know what that means? Big deal. Okay. Who cares? You can start all over, get another idea. There are ideas everywhere. You know, Ramey said something really funny the other day. It's actually really cool. It goes, everybody's got to understand this. There are trillions of dollars being thrown around the world all over the place. It's everywhere. There's money everywhere, which means there's opportunities everywhere. You just have to find the need and fill it. And there are lots of ways. If you're wanting to acquire great wealth, there's lots of ways for you to do it. There's not just one way in terms of the methods, I guess you'd say, but there is only one way of thinking that you got to consent to, though. But in terms of how to get there, there's lots of ways. And by the way, just because you fail, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you discovered something that didn't work. And you can use that. You can use that as something that helps you to get better at what you do. And that's what he did. But again, I want to emphasize this. Giving up did not occur to him. Don't allow that to be for you. Allow yourself to stay fused with your vision for yourself. If you do, you'll see the big changes. Now here he points out another jewel. Failure is a blessing when it pushes us out of a cushioned seat of self-satisfaction and forces us to do something useful. That is huge. I want you to think of everything that we enjoy right now in this material world. All came from dissatisfaction. Every great advance that ever has become of mankind, you'll find every great advance that you've ever had, they came from some kind of crisis. And that's embedded within you. And it can't be removed. Dissatisfaction is wonderful. If you carefully study your own life and those achievers from whom you admire, it is an absolute certainty you will discover that your greatest opportunities often occur during the times of adversity. It is only when you are faced with the possibility of failure that you are willing to deal with radical change and take the risks that lead to great success. It's so true. When you experience temporary failure and you know that it is temporary, and by the way, it is, write this in your notes, nothing ever stays the same. Everything is constantly changing. Write that in your notes, my friends. Nothing ever stays the same. And remember, failure is nothing more than feedback. Failure is nothing more than you discovering something that didn't work. Start new plans, and then start again. So again, when you experience temporary failure and you know that it is temporary, you can capitalize on the opportunities adversity always brings. And it does always bring it. Now, reflection. Take a screenshot of this. I see even the most dramatic failures as temporary. I never give in to any fears. This would be a really great thing for you to write personally every day. I see even the most dramatic failures as temporary. I never, and I would underline never, I'd write never is a big old capital letters. I never give in to any fears. Never. See, again, he's sharing with you what's set in his mind. He's sharing with you how he thinks, which then leads him to the actions that he takes, which has delivered the life that all of us here are seeing him live. And you can do the same. I'm using it in my life. It's incredible what's happening. But again, the only way that this works in your life or is going to work is if you use it. So next week, we're going to be digging into chapter 3 of Broken, Not Broken. But again, my reminder for you, though, is, how are you going to use this? How are you going to apply this in your life? Because remember, if you're just sitting here passively, just collecting the information, the change is not going to happen. And I'm going to bring this up again too as well. If you're just coming here just to study this just on Saturdays for this 1 to 2 hours that we're here, and this is the only time that you're revisiting this, it's not going to happen for you. You got to revisit it. This is why we provided the recordings for you, so that you can go back and revisit them again and again and again. And it's so important. You've got to use it. If you don't use it again and again and again until it becomes automatic in you, you won't see the change. So do the work, pay the price. I promise you, if you will pay the price, which means if you'll be persistent, diligent with regards to changing those automatic thought patterns in you by replacing those bad ones that are not serving you with the good ones that get you what you want, your future self will be giving you this massive hug, thanking you. So allow yourself to do that. Allow yourself to be that person and use this information. All right? Wow. Was this good for you? This was amazing for me. This rocked, wasn't it? It was so freaking good. What a great chapter. A wonderful, wonderful chapter. And again, I'm so grateful that you all came here and that you stayed here and you're taking notes, which is fantastic. And man, I could tell you, it's amazing. Oh, look at these hearts. That's amazing. This is so good. Now, I know Ramey's in here, but I don't know if he's driving or not. And so if you're here to speak, Ramey, let me know. And if you're not, we'll go from there. But I would love to hear what you got from this. And by the way, I want to say something with regards to that again, as a reminder for you. When you get an aha moment, the most important thing for you to remember is that it's new for you. Man, think about that. You just got an awareness of it. It's new for you, which means it's not set in your mind. So one of the greatest things that you can do when you get that aha moment is to revisit it, rewrite it, and then use it in your life again and again and again. You'll get way more out of that than you will anything else. Don't go out and say, read 1,000 books or something. You'll get way more out of studying one specific thing time and time again than you will reading tons and tons of books from different people. Just studying this alone, and just like studying one page and just using it like through 3 weeks will change a lot for you if you'll just go about and do that. Okay, so revisit the recordings and go watch them. All right, so all right, let's go over what you got from this and tap into this wonderful, beautiful information. So by the way, if you're going to come and speak on this, Alejandro, we need to put your camera on. So go ahead and put your camera on and let's go over what you got from this. All right, here we go, my friend. All right, amazing. Unmute yourself if you would. Go ahead. Okay, let's go for it. There we go.
There you go.
All right,
that's working.
Alejandro, so great to see you.
Yes. Thank you, Troy. Thank you very much for all the information. The book is great. I love it. It's been great to listen to you every time, every week. I just wanted to point out something very, very, like, it was important for me. Like not, it's related to making decisions, which is like not waiting for the perfect opportunity. That really got me, because I'm I've been there. I've been, like, oh, maybe this is not the right one, and it's like when, and this comes around to a question as well. So, like, when do we need to pivot, and when do we need to kind of just carry on? Like it's all related to making a decision and go forward, but also be very aware when you're kind of your heart is telling you that this is not the right way. We need to pivot. So it's giving me a lot of insight here, and just and the energy to push forward, and just not. I think the important thing for me here is like not stop until you really kind of hit a wall, and there's you just have to kind of take a different direction. Not stop because you're afraid, not stop because you think it's not the right thing, or you start thinking too many, getting worried before time. So thank you very much. Thank you, Raimi, for the opportunity to listen to you guys and everything. So thank you very much.
Yeah. So this is great. By the way, those of you who are having an issue with regards to that, just start being decisive. Make a decision right where you are with whatever you've got. And when it comes down to that, remember, you don't know how you're going to do it. A lot of us, we get so tied into how we're going to do something. And I want you all to pay close attention to this, because this is huge with what Alejandro talked about. If you have the habit of always wanting to know how you're going to do it, you'll end up talking yourself out of it the overwhelming majority of the time. Don't allow that to be something that you fuse with. Just make the decision, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then you get to work, you put together some kind of plan about putting it into play, and then you put into your, I guess you say into it, a huge amount of work. You just get to work, massive action. Now, when to pivot, you just pay close attention to the results. Okay, the results will tell you whether or not you need to pivot, whether or not you need to make a change. And then from there, you make an adjustment in whatever it is that you're doing. See, but look at it this way. Look at your results as feedback to tell whether or not you're going in the right direction. Look at it as feedback, and then you just make the adjustment from there. Now, notice how when I said you make the adjustment, see, this is where being decisive comes into play. Okay, if you are masterful at being decisive, then you'll be pivoting quite often as you go along your journey. And it's kind of like this. Let's say, Alejandro, you made a decision that you're going to go eat at your favorite place for dinner. Okay, and it happens to be 5 miles away, and you make a decision that you're going to go there. But see, you don't know whether or not there's going to be a traffic jam. You don't know if there's going to be an accident. You don't know if there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff in the way. But it doesn't make a darn bit of difference. Once you make the decision that you're going to go there, right, you'll just go on auto. You're going to go whatever way you need to go to get there. See, that's the pivoting that we're talking about. You say, well, shoot, this is keeping me stuck here. No, that's not a good place. Okay, I'm going to go around this way. I'm going to go over. I'm going to go under. You just, the same way that you make decisions to get to your favorite place that may be 5 miles away is the same way that you do it with regards to everything else. Keep it super, super simple. Okay. And you'll find that throughout this book, that's what he does. Just keep it super, super simple. All right. Did that help you?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, exactly to the point. Thank you very much, Troy.
Yeah, perfect. Amazing. All right. So let's go into powerful Nikki. Let's get you on the stage here, and let's hear what you got from this wonderful, beautiful Nikki.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Troy. And thank you, Raimi. I'm so grateful for these sessions. What's really stood out for me was when you read the point where Raimi said, I decided that I would speak to everyone I meet, right? And that started his journey to having the conversation with the individual in Zaire. A lot of times, in my case anyway, I hold back from speaking up or speaking to someone. And that started his whole research, right? Just from that conversation that he had. He went deeper and deeper. Another point that really stuck with me is recalibrate. if I'm not where, or if you're not where you want to be, you can always, like you say, pivot. You can always turn around. You can always do something different. You don't have to be stuck there. You can recalibrate and move forward, right? So that really stuck deeply with me. And then another point that joins deeply with recalibrating is refuse to consent to something that you do not want, right? Sometimes we unintentionally, get stuck with, oh, this is what it is. And as you said before, even if it's the evidence in front of you, like Ramy was in that situation where he didn't have any money, but you said he did not pay attention to the evidence, right? He paid attention to what he wanted, and he made a decision that he would keep moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Well, that really stuck with me. Get in the habit of just
There's a
having
message.
casual conversations if you want to.
Just message them on the-
Recalibrate when you need to. And then in addition to that, don't consent to something that you don't want. As you just said, look at the results. If it's what you want, then keep it. If it's not what you want, don't keep it.
Yeah.
So I really learned a lot today, and I'm really grateful.
Isn't it interesting how isn't it interesting how it's really simple?
Yes, in the conversation. I mean, how
It's
difficult
ridiculously simple, huh?
it is, that conversation as to, I noticed this person, he's selling stuff. I mean, it's not anything that you can even eat or anything like that. He's just selling stuff. And he starts to have this conversation.
Mhm.
And then from there, it sparks another idea in his head. And then he has another conversation or more conversations with people in the store.
Mhm.
And that is the beginning, that is the key. That is the key, right? That opens the door to his wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's not difficult, but like you say, we have to apply it. We really do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, what makes it difficult is not that it's simple. What makes it difficult is we're just used to thinking the way that we're thinking. And that's all it is. It's nothing else but that. It's amazing.
mhm.
So I love your energy, Nikki. Absolutely love it.
Thank you. Well, your energy is contagious. I'm bouncing off of it. I'm listening to you. And the more I listen to you, the more it's like exploding in my head. Why haven't you recalibrated yet? What are you waiting for? You just asked that question. So I'm bouncing off of your energy.
Awesome.
I have like a bunch of things that I'm going to do as soon as I get off the line with you, but I can't leave because the energy is so powerful.
That's amazing. You're amazing. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
All right, so we got Ramy on now. Let me pull you up, Ramy, here. Fantastic. It's so good to see you. I'll pull you up here and add you to the spotlight here and unmute there. Ask you to unmute. There you go. Hey, Ramy, it's so great to see you. Uh-oh, it muted again. It muted.
Can you hear me now?
We got you.
Hey, how are you, Troy?
Incredible.
You got me driving again, which is a good thing. But I can listen to you the whole way. So it was a drive. So again, it was a really good chapter, really great. There's two big takeaways from that chapter that I really want people to really pay attention. And that one was that poem you were reading about what you ask out of life. And you did put the inflection is life is just an employer. It's actually the inflection is it's a just employer, like it's a fair employer. So basically, it's not like a bad boss. It'll give you whatever you ask for out of life. So it's just. So if you're only going to ask for it for $1,000 a week to make $1,000 a week or merely make a living, okay, it'll tell you, okay, that's all we'll give you. But if you ask out of life, I want to be one of the richest men in the world, and I want to live, and have multiple homes and enjoy life in a splendid way, then he'll find a way. Okay, fine, just work for it, and you'll get what you want. So it's really, you do set the wages. I read that poem over and over and over again because at first, when I first read it, when I was young, I didn't under the things that I did achieve, I got it. I got it. Anything I ask out of life, it'll pay. So it's really important for people to get that portion of it, is because a lot of people don't believe they can do it, or a lot of people don't believe they can make that much money. So if you don't believe it and you're not going to ask for it, you're not going to get it. So why should it even pay you? Why should it even consider giving it to you if you're not asking for it? So it's just like if you go into a grocery store, if you really want milk and bread, stuff like that, and it's behind the counter or anything, if you don't ask the clerk, you're not going to get it. They can't read your mind. They can't think of what you want. You're not going to get it. If you don't ask for, if you're at a restaurant, if you don't ask for a Coca-Cola when you're having your meal, he'll just bring you water. So you just have to ask for everything you do. So just bringing it down simple, but it works in life in a very big way. And the other point I really want to, and a lot of people talks I do, and a lot of people ask a lot about this here.
Hey, Rami. We lost you.
Of poverty, fear of death, fear of anything. It'll stop you from achieving anything, because you're so afraid in any way towards the goal that you want. You're afraid of the results of the opinions of other people. So this is really one of the most important things. If you did nothing else,
Yeah, Rami, the signal's not good. The signal's not coming over good for you speaking there. I don't know if you can hear me now, but it looks like you're out there driving beautifully. So we'll get back to you if the signal gets better. Yeah, you know what? That's a really important thing what he said. Life is a just employer, because I may have read that wrong. And you know what? It's true. Life is a just employer. And by the way, every one of you right now, in terms of the results that you're experiencing in your life, that's your just reward. And I'm talking about how much you're earning, what you do for work, your lifestyle, all of that stuff. And there's some people who get really pissed off about it. Oh, how can you say that? I go, just go. Don't believe me. Just go try it. Go test it out. And you'll see, the more you study you and how your mind works, the more you will see that that's actually true. And by the way, that will give you a tremendous amount of power when you start to consent to that way of thinking, which is actually right thinking, thinking from the inside out. All right. So if Rami comes back, we'll go ahead and pull him up here on the screen. So let's go and talk with wonderful Zenful Zan. Zenful. It's so good. Let's pull you up here on the spotlight, and let's talk about what you got from this.
Thank you, Troy. That is, I feel really elated right now. Thank you so much. So we had an opportunity to come to us like in the last couple of weeks, and we were like, should we, shouldn't we, shouldn't we? It was an investment. It was like, we were all up in it. And I happened to open my email, of course, the ones that Rami sends out all the time. And on page 33 of his book, it was talking about those who will not take a chance seldom have one thrust upon them. And success always involves risk. And then Rami's reflection was, I didn't wait for the perfect opportunity, but instead put my maximum effort into everything I started. We were like, yes.
Actually, we have two of those that have come our way. We're putting maximum effort into both of those.
Yeah, so it's like reading it, studying it. We talk it between Tom and I. We talk about Rami and can you really think and grow rich? Think and grow rich. Mm-hmm. All the time throughout the day. We talk about it to our coachees, and it's like we are so grateful. And Rami, we are so grateful to you, and Troy, to you for bringing it every week so beautifully.
Absolutely, and it is a lifestyle. It is not something you dip your toe into. It's something you commit to and you become a part of, and it becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You know, all of you pay close attention to what he just said right there, because that's a wonderful way to put it. You've got to make this your lifestyle.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. And that's actually spot on. Because you know what's interesting, we got people, for instance, they'll go to church and stuff, but then they'll just go there for Sundays, but they don't change their lifestyle, and they wonder why things aren't changing. I'm not here to get churchy on you, but that's just the way it is. And by the way, in terms of religion, your religion is whatever you're emotionally involved with.
Right.
So if you're in there for growth, expansion, full expression, helping other people, wow, that's a wonderful religion. Okay. So but you've got to make, the whole point is you've got to make it your lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love what you shared, Zan. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're so grateful.
That's
We
good.
are so grateful.
And I love that you're loving the emails too. How many of you, by the way, are loving the emails that are coming to you every other day?
We print them off.
That's great.
We have them in our Ramey notebook.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to be so happy when I reach back out to him about that. That is really super good.
Actually, our notebook, it rains Ramey.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And by the way, all of you, be on the lookout, because we're working on putting together this wonderful event for all of you who own businesses. You're not going to want to miss that event. It's going to rock. It's going to be so good. The only one like it in the world ever made. It's going to be so good. Amazing. So good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love both of you. Amazing. So good. This is so good. All right. Let's look for excellent Eric. Here we go.
Hey, Troy.
How you doing, Eric? So great
Thank
to
you
see
for
you.
calling on me, sir. You as well. There's a number of different aspects of this I find just very developmental for my personality and for my experience. The repetition is a high factor, especially since I look for patterns in almost everything. But a moment ago, one of the people was saying how we don't notice the things that hold us back. And we're reading the poem, we're asking, and Ramey came back with it, and I'm trying to find it in the book here. I think it's like in page 30 or something like that. But we're segmented into being, oh gosh, I apologize.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
We don't realize the we don't realize the restrictions we place on ourselves. We get into roles, we become menial people working in menial tasks. And everyone wants to hold you in that position because that's how they view you. It's simply their view, their aspect of you, their image. And so when you're trying to break out of those images, nobody really wants you to break out of it because that's what they're comfortable with.
Yep.
So you have to realize that when you're changing, you're not only changing what you're comfortable with, you're changing what everyone around you is comfortable with. And I see a lot of that in here. And I'm lucky enough to have a wife that supports me in these matters. Even though I probably drove her crazy for years, I'm trying to learn how to get to them. But this just, it's fantastic. I just find the whole learning experience incredible. And when we're talking about having opportunity thrust upon us, I also have a second thing here. I recently had an opportunity thrust my way. I don't know if it was the correct opportunity because I didn't accept it at first. But I didn't realize that the fear that stopped me from doing it wasn't direct. It was a fear of another person from another place I worked that had stopped me from taking an opportunity simply because it was an additional risk. An additional risk I had had in the past. And No, I can still go back and I can still try that opportunity if I choose to. Whether it will work out or not, I don't know. But simple fears that we have in our personalities can stop us from doing things. And this book has helped me to recognize that fact
Wow, so good.
and to realize that it's a direct effect on our behavior. It's not something that doesn't happen, or, when you realize you're a full grown adult male and you don't make a choice. And the fear was there, but it didn't say I'm a fear. It was just, it stopped you.
Yeah.
You didn't realize what stopped you from doing something. You just didn't sign that piece of paper, or you didn't do that resume, or you didn't do that thing. You were too busy. No, you had a fear that was subconscious that stopped you from doing something.
Wow.
It kicked your butt.
Wow, I'm so happy.
Anyways, that's my
I'm so happy that this has helped, that his book has helped you a lot to overcome that. That's beautiful. Amazing, Eric. Uh-oh, you froze. Okay, wow, amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Eric. Incredible. Isn't it, and again, isn't it
thank you,
simple?
sir.
Isn't it
And thank you
interesting
for
again
your
how it's really simple? It's really simple.
Can you hear me, Troy?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, good. Ramey's here. Okay, so
Yeah,
amazing, Eric. Thank you,
I'm
Eric.
driving through a bad area on the 5, so my.
Okay. Okay, so Ramey, you want to go ahead and try and talk here without getting you on the screen, so that we get a better signal. Want to try that? Maybe not. He'll come back in here. Okay, that's good. He's driving.
Troy?
Oh, there you are. Oh, hey, Ramey, gotcha.
Yeah. Hi,
All right.
sorry about that.
That's what happens.
I'm not sure where I know. So it might be a little choppy, so I'll keep mine very short. Can you hear me enough?
Yes, we can hear you beautifully.
Okay. Anyways, so back to fear. I'll keep it short to keep on taking questions from people and stuff, but I like how people share. I'm glad it's affecting people in a positive way and how they can advance their lives more. But again, if you could do that alone, just to get rid of any kind of fear that you have, because it really doesn't matter at the end of the day where you end up, because it's worth taking the chance, or you'll just stay where you're at, because fear will definitely cripple you. And that's all of our Think and Grow Rich, and they name all kinds of different fears. So it could be a fear of anything that will stop you, even it's just fear of losing a job, fear of even dying, people don't do, or fear of poverty is a big one. But poverty is not that bad. You'd come out of it if you have the right mental state. Do you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you beautifully. The signal's good.
Okay, great. It's you're frozen. So the beginning of mine was that way, and you're right. It's all made out of habits. It's I made it a habit when I was really young. So the advantage of being you just do the same thing over and becomes a habit. And you're right, a habit of being a failure is just a habit. Your actions every day is because of habit. So if your actions is thinking forward all the time, then it becomes a habit, then you do think forward. But if your actions is feeling of a victim and thinking of the past and everything that's gone wrong in your life, and it's so hard to pay bills and the struggles, and you listen to any of the negative press and all that, and that's your habit. I don't even watch the news anymore because I don't want to get the habits of hearing negative news. I used to get my news watching Jay Leno because he presented in a funny way, and it was just fun. And I understood what was going on in the world, but I didn't want to hear anything negative. It doesn't help me any. I mean, how does it help anybody what's going on in Afghanistan? It doesn't change your life one little bit. So why do you need to watch news for that? So if you get it in a comedy way or word of mouth here and there, make that a habit. Ignore all the negative stuff and just pay attention to the positive things. Playing this out, reading a book, taking actions all the time, moving one step forward, doing one thing every day that gets you closer and closer to your goals is a habit that you make. That if you wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, I'm just going to watch TV and and just relax, do nothing," but if you wake up every morning and say, "Okay, I have to take action today and do one thing that advances me closer to my goals," and then you do that every day, then you'll find that you'll always do something. And those little things add up until you finally do achieve the things that you want out of life. So creating a habit in the way you think, creating a habit in the things you do, creating a habit of ignoring criticism, creating a habit of not being afraid. So take one little thing that you're afraid of and overcome it. You know, and once you overcome one thing, say, "Oh, I can overcome this fear. I can overcome all the other fears." You know, and take so it might be you can't. And I know it's a lot to ask somebody to do it all at once, but you take just same when I did the success at the beginning, and the Napoleon Hill's the same thing. Says, you know, I had this big goal, but I take the little goals. When I win or achieve that little goal, I say, "Oh, okay, that principle works." You know, so I do another little goal, and then it gets a little bit bigger and bigger. So it builds and builds on itself. So again, it's not an overnight thing, and you should never expect it to be overnight, but you do get it. You know, it won't take, and the more you do it, and the more you're really entrenched in, the more burning desire, the faster it does come. But you got to be patient with all the things I tried. Even one of the biggest goals going after Khashoggi, that took 4 years, you know, or different things that might took a shorter period of time, but it's still, it's the way you think. It's not. Nobody needs to copy what I did. Nobody needs to start a key center. Nobody needs to work with Khashoggi. They just need to use the same principle in whatever things and whatever efforts they're trying to do, whatever businesses they want to start. And then, and one of the habits is not to be afraid of what the outcome might be. Because if you're so afraid of it, you'll concentrate all the negative things that might happen. They'll just happen because you're so focused on it, you're attracting it. You know, if instead of thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna be able to sell this and create this and make this much money if they did," you're thinking of all the positive, great things instead of, "Oh, how am I gonna make my bills? How can I afford a salary? How am I gonna get new customers?" You know, then you're living in fear, and then you're not gonna do anything because you're gonna stop yourself because you say, "I don't think I'm gonna achieve that." But instead of you saying, "Oh, I can get customers by just putting it online or on Facebook or target marketing or things like that," if people know I know where to get. There's a big need. I know how to get to those people. If you think that way instead of, "How do I get to those people? I don't know how to do that," then you'll not do it. So all that is just a habit that looking for it, not worrying about it, just go do it because it's all doable. I mean, people do it all the time. So it's just better that you go and just take action without fear and not worry what happens. And then if something does happen, you just adjust and take action to correct that problem. And any failure, like we talked about, like what the Key Center was, it's all temporary. It's all the different ways of getting to your final goal. So it doesn't matter if you failed at that. So you failed, big deal. You know, go and do the next thing. You failed. Don't be afraid of that failure. Failure is just temporary unless you make it permanent because you're afraid and decide to stop and quit life. So it's really important, and it is really, you could live that ordinary life or that average person where that chart that Glenn Turner showed or Ted Turner showed. You know, if you want to live 9 to 5 the weekends and a vacation year and repeat that till you retire and die, that's fine. That's your life, and that's all you're going to be stuck. But if you really see, that scared me more than losing everything I had. So when I saw that, I was scared to be mediocre. So that was like, oh my God, I don't want to be mediocre. I'd rather be homeless and broke than be that. You know, at least I'm going to give it a shot to really live the life I want to live. So because you live only once, basically, so you might as well give it a shot and give it and achieve the things that you actually really do want. So I guess the two big takeaways is really just whatever you want out of life, you do get, and get rid of fear because then it'll stop you getting what you want out of life. So if you're I know you can make comments on that because I know you have your thoughts, and we can take some questions too because I have about an hour still driving.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was so good and spot on. Crazy, awesome, good. So yeah, those of you who have questions for Ramy, let's go ahead and pull you up here. If you can make sure you're on the screen too as well. So we got Araneth. Araneth is here. Araneth, could you put yourself on camera here real quick? Start the video and then go ahead and ask your question, or you can state what you got from this as well. That would be fantastic.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Greetings, Francisco. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. So great to see you.
Oh, great to see you guys. Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Like, I don't have a question because Ramy already answered that about the habits, creating habits because of fear. You know, I see fear, you know, I think it's all about perception, you know. I actually internalize that into a different meaning. If I see fear, I see success. You know, that's the reason why Remy is right. I give up watching TV because it's not really helping me. I use the time to know me first. As what Bob said, like, if you gotta be free, you gotta be me, right? So I use the time to watching TV to know me and create that winner's image, you know. So having to know me first is just really amazing. So all those challenges that I am facing right now is just a feedback for me, looking forward for the brighter future, you know. So I'm super grateful, you know, for this Saturday meetups. I'm so addicted to it, honestly. I'm looking forward to it. I close my calendar just to be here, you know, because it's just, if you, I am a true believer that if you surround yourself with successful people, it makes me successful. I feel successful. I am successful, you know. I'm already successful in my mind. I just need to take actions going to see the result, you know. So I really don't see the result as the downfall for myself, but I'm already successful at the back of my mind. So, you know, I'm just super grateful. Thank you, Remy, for inspiring me. I followed you on LinkedIn all the time. So I think I sent you a message. So I'm just super grateful for this. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm glad I could really change the way you think and inspire you, because that's the whole purpose of all this, is to inspire people to achieve the things they want. And I'm glad that you're living the life and understanding the message, and I'm sure you see a difference in your life because of it, which is the most important thing.
It's definitely. I borrowed some of your you know, of your belief, because some of my belief didn't work, even though I do the crooked way understanding my belief, but I am not getting to the point that I am now. So I borrowed some of your qualities and I mixed that with my belief, and it's truly working. So your book definitely one of the life-changing that I am actually implementing towards the achieving of my goal. So once again, kudos to you, and truly grateful for this amazing journey that we are in together. Yeah.
It is a journey, but thank you.
So good. Oh my gosh, this is so good. All right, so we got now, okay, Brendan, you got a question. Go for it, my friend. Let's pull you up here. And all right, what do you got here, my friend?
Okay, my question is kind of weird. I feel like it doesn't involve what you were talking about today, but how do you balance just having like the power of like a billionaire with like humanity at the same time? Because I feel like power and like humanity are like different. So like, how do you have like a code of conduct, or like a religion, or like, do you just follow your heart, or like, how do you know how to make the best decisions and everything?
They're really not that different. And if you go to the bigger picture of like the universe and that we are all one, whatever your actions are and stuff, that it is, we're all energy. So money or humanity, how you treat people, is just a consequence of your thoughts. So as you know, there's positive and negative thoughts, and if you want to achieve positive things, so you naturally will feel that way. You'll see that even Think and Grow Rich, it says anything that's not built on truth and honesty won't last. And it still translates to basically anything that you're really pushing negative, trying to hurt people or hurt the universe and stuff like that, you know, you get shut down pretty quickly. So, and you start repelling people and the universe and abundance in your life. So it's really staying positive and staying true to what is positive for the universe, and helps it and grows and attracts people to you. It just, then you attract also the financial gains, but you also do good for the world. So you're in harmony with it. So wanting money is, it's not a negative thing. So again, like I said, people who say that money is the root of all evil, is really the people who don't have money, and then they go out there and then they try to commit crimes and stuff to get it and so on. But the people who achieve things, and they achieve things because they apply the principles, are very self-confident, feel good, have positive energy, and creates this energy that's we're all connected and connect the universe. That really does help, move the universe along in a positive way, and the world in a positive way. So they're really not different. So money is a good thing, and having money and you being successful is a good thing, because then it attracts only positive things around you and resonates throughout the world in positive ways because you're all connected.
I mean, also like more specifically, like let's say like you're a billionaire and you can help anybody that you meet, and you could like change somebody's lives. How do you know who to help, who to not help, who to like how do you know, like even with like just decisions like that, do you have some type of like, is it just based off of how you feel in the moment, or is there like, do you have like guidelines of how you live, of like, I do this in this situation or something like that? Do you have anything like that?
Again, I go by my feel, but the money I have is a drop of a drop in the bucket of what the whole world is. I mean, the trillions of dollars spent every single dollar. So, it seems I have a lot of money. It really doesn't affect people's lives. So I have to look at the principle, because I don't, like I've mentioned before, I even look at people who suffer or struggle, not as a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's their journey. It's a way of them growing, and they need to then help themselves. It's just like the saying, if you give somebody a fish, you feed him a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So the decisions of helping people, again, I have a bigger vision for how I'm going to do that. But on a daily thing, if somebody wants money and stuff like that, it's not like it all depends if there's a cause or a reason why I want to do it, or if it's a win-win for things. But just giving for just the sake of giving is just like the government who gave trillions of dollars away or to people when during the pandemic. It just made them lazy sitting at home. And I personally think it was a negative thing, and it helped create inflation and make people a little bit lazier. So giving money is not the thing to do. It's actually giving the know-how, education, inspiring people, and let them help themselves is a much more powerful thing than giving people money. So that's my views more on that than
Awesome.
if I gave money to everybody they requested, I'd be broke today. So you have to do what you need to do for yourself, and then after that, inspire people to help themselves and give it so they can achieve the same things.
Awesome. Okay, thank you, Brendan. Thank you. All right, so Remi, are there any closing comments that you would love to leave for people here?
Yeah, it's mostly, you're now, we went a little bit backward, and now starting the other chapters, and everywhere, and the book, I had to condense where I could have wrote 1,000 books into one book, and every word means something. Like, I like that you spent a lot of time sometimes on one sentence, and then you should reread it over and over, and then you get more information. And if you're not ready for the information now, you might be ready for it in 6 months from now, or next month, or next year, but it'll add to what you're doing. But it is really, Think and Grow Rich, my book, are basically a mirror. I applied it. I take from Think and Grow Rich. All the principles are ages old, so it always works. So it's really, the takeaway is listen, and like you say, if you're just practicing, just listening Saturday, get it inspired today, and then by the end of the day or tomorrow, by Monday, when the rest of the world is telling you all these things, you're watching the news and your family is doing this, and you're back to life and you forget about it, then it's great. You got motivated for a few days, but then you have a thin layer of motivation with all this negative. You have to practice it every day, all day long. It has got to be a way of life for you. It's not just an action one time or listening. It's a way of life. It's changing your life to be a different kind of person, a different way of thinking as a person, and it changes automatically. It's just like your life will just follow the path of what your thoughts are. So you could either be, I think Rose says, a captain of your soul or your destiny, or you could be the victim that lets the world just beat up on and accept what happens to them and never do exactly what you want, because you're accepting what life is giving you, and life will give you the leftovers and very little if you don't go ask them. So So I guess that's a closing one on that one, but I'm sure you have some. I don't know if we went through all the questions, but it is important. It's not only for me to say, but you can read it everywhere, or people like you were mentioning religions, even in the Bible, or you go back thousands of years back in Egypt or back in the beginning of time, or the way it's the principles are the same no matter where you look. The truth is the truth, and the truth will always last the test of time. That's why great music will last the test of time. But the things that are not truth will die off. Things that are not real will die off because they don't last the test of time because people tried, and if it doesn't work, people forget it. And if you have the masses trying it, and if it doesn't work, it stops. But if the masses are trying and they see it does work, and the principles are rooted on the laws of the universe and nature, then it works. So it'll last forever. So just might as well use the stuff that you really do know work, and since it's been proven over and over that it does work. So it'll work for me, it'll work for you, it'll work for anybody listening in. So it's just those principles are real. It's not something I made up, and it's not something Napoleon Hill made up. He didn't know it until he interviewed those people, and it's not something Carnegie made up. It's just been around forever. So it's just a law of life, and you follow the law and you use it, you win.
Yeah. That's something every time I think about that, I get goosebumps because it's always been here, right? It's kind of like gravity. Gravity's always been here. We've always been able to fly. What was missing was, the want for the change. And I love that you brought that into this because it's true. It's been here for thousands and thousands and thousands, and it's immovable. And
millions of years.
Yeah, millions of years. Yeah, go further. That's right.
Yeah, millions of years. I mean, I'm sure the days of the dinosaurs that lived 176 million years on Earth, the dinosaurs knew how to motivate themselves and dominate the world at the time and eat their smaller predators and survive. And so the principles worked for them hundreds of millions of years ago. So it's the same principles of today, but humans are now can comprehend those principles and really apply it in the forefront of their mind instead of just being nature to them, because that's nature of survival. I mean, any animal, nature of survival is to fight to survive. I mean, it's inherent in us. So now just nature of success will be just inherent as just a second nature of what we need to do just to really get what we want.
Yeah, we're supposed to have dominion over everything, and the only way we do that is by using our mind. We got to think. That's amazing. All right, so Remi, this was a great call. There was when you left and when you got disconnected, it was so awesome to hear people were really happy about your book, and they're using it in their lives. They're happy with the messages that are being sent, and they're happy with the persistency, the consistency, and they really, really love you. It's awesome to hear that. And so
again, I'm happy people joined this call Saturday and make the effort, but it is definitely, they were trying, they're making the effort to change their lives, which is important. That's the first steps.
Yeah. Awesome.
Getting the basics, getting those principles, and then applying them after.
Yeah, that's right. Doing the work. All right, so let's bring this in for a landing, everyone. Remi, thank you again. Love you. Absolutely love you, my friend. And let's bring this in for a landing. And everybody, if you could just, go ahead and unmute. I go, what's the rule? What's the rule if you want this to work for you? What is it? All of you.
Application.
Application.
Massive application.
Action.
You all.
Yes, take massive action, everyone.
Thank
Yes.
Love you.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you so much, Troy, Remi.
Bye.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Rami.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you, Remi. Thank you.